Shall I? Okay, testing, can you hear me? No, you can't hear me. It's working. Okay. Okay. Right, so welcome to the presentation, the webinar for the Masters in English Language and Linguistics. Just before we start, I should explain that on the first slide we have MSc in English Language and Linguistics. This is actually a very recent change of programme title from MLit. So if you are looking at any of our other publicity materials online, you may see MLit, but we are in the process of changing to an MSc. So good morning. I'm going to take you through a series of slides, firstly talking about the University of Stirling more broadly, and giving you some information about the context in which you would be studying if you came here, and then I'm going to talk more specifically about the English Language and Linguistics programme. There will be time at the end of the webinar to ask questions, and we actually have one of the current cohort student here, Kirsten, who is on hand to answer any questions from a student perspective too. Okay, so the University of Stirling it's a relatively small university with about 14,000 students. 3,800 of those are postgrads. We have 1,500 staff, and we have a very diverse international mix of students. So we have about 120 plus nationalities represented on campus, and 20% of our students in total are from overseas. So we have a number of elements of distinction. We are third in Scotland for overall satisfaction as a university, first in Scotland for welcoming international students, first in Scotland and the UK for the campus environment. And if you do come to Stirling, I think you'll probably be quite overwhelmed by how beautiful the campus is and the environment. We are sort of at the edge of the Scottish Highlands, and it is really very beautiful here. We're also first in Scotland for good teachers, quality lecturers and performance feedback, first in Scotland and second in the UK for sports facilities. So we have a very good set of sports facilities, including a large swimming pool and a gym. Okay, so this gives you, this next slide gives you, it's a virtual tour, and it gives you a sense of the actual visual location. So we can see here, do I have to move this? Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. So so this is actually a perspective from Stirling, and it's actually looking over across to where the campus is, which is nearer the hills in the background. So we can see a hill with the Wallace Monument on, and the campus is to the left of that. So we can see the backdrop of the campuses are these Oakhill Hills here. So it's a very fine location. Stirling itself as a city, it's a vibrant city. There are a number of shops. There's a cafe culture, performing arts actually on the campus itself, and all sorts of things going on in the evenings. It's a small enough city to feel warm and friendly. It's easy to get around, but if you are interested in the big city experience, we're actually very close to Edinburgh and Glasgow, just about 50 minutes away on the train. Stirling is also the most affordable city in the UK when comparing average house prices to wages. There is actually, if you do want to see a virtual tour of Stirling, you can look at the video on the website of the campus. Living costs here, so university accommodation rent is between £372, £652 monthly. And then this is sort of itemised into food, leisure, clothing, books, phone and travel. So the total would be between about £700 and £1,000 monthly. And then you've got the total there across to semesters. So there's a range of options for accommodation on campus, shared flats with obviously individual bedrooms with shared sort of kitchen and living space. On campus, we have an excellent library which has access to textbooks, ebooks and journals. It's typically open 12 hours a day, and there are also a number of group and private study rooms. Our virtual learning environment is Canvas, and this provides access to materials and interaction with students, and we use it to put up learning materials such as lecture slides, notes, tutorial materials and feedback. It's also the site through which you submit assessment and have assessment returned to you. I mentioned earlier that Stirling is first in Scotland for sports facilities, and so there is in the sports union at least 50 clubs that you could join. There is a gym and strength and conditioning suite. There are 50 weekly classes. There's a national tennis centre, national swimming academy, and a 9-hole golf course if you're interested in golf, and that's actually on the campus, again with a very sort of beautiful backdrop. Right, we move on now to talk more specifically about the actual programme that you're interested in, the English Language and Linguistics Masters. So this is the team here, the core staff. So I'm in the middle there, Beth-Ann Benwell. My interests are in spoken and written discourse and conversation analysis, language and gender, sociolinguistics and healthcare communication. At the top, we have Andrew Smith, who is the co-programme director. His specialisms are in sort of cognitive-based linguistics, evolution of language, linguistic complexity, cross-situational learning, reanalysis and grammaticalization, cultural evolution, and cognitive linguistics. And at the bottom, we have Stephen Penn, who is our sort of historical linguistics expert. So he is particularly interested in the history of the linguistic sciences, and also Old and Middle English language and historical linguistics. So if you come through the programme, you would probably be taught by all three of us, but also other tutors from other programmes. We collaborate with some of the other master's programmes for some of our options. So a quick overview of the programme itself. The programme offers a study of the intricate workings of language and its central role in human society. So we try to combine theoretical approaches to linguistics, looking at the actual formal properties of language, but also their application in a broader cultural context. So the range of modules on offer reflects, I think, that kind of broad-based approach. So we have a foundational course in the structures of language. Those are the kind of core modules that everybody does, and these are complemented by a series of advanced specialist courses which allow you to explore a wide range of detailed topics according to your own interests and the interests that perhaps develop across the year. So who is this programme aimed at? Well, we attract students for a variety of reasons, but a very strong and predominant motivation is a passion for the subject, a desire to continue studying in higher education, often as a foundation for other more vocational degrees such as TESOL and English language teaching, or vocations like speech therapy, and often is a foundation for the pursuit of a linguistics PhD. The programme is designed to be suitable both for those with no prior academic experience of linguistics, but because it has a high level engagement with the topics of linguistics and is an intensive reading programme and involves quite challenging assignments, it means it is suitable for those who have studied linguistics previously at undergraduate level. As mentioned before, the programme enjoys cross-teaching initiatives with the Division of Psychology, TESOL and Translation Studies, and this has enabled us to introduce more industry-facing modules and to increase our student numbers. We've recently introduced a bilingualism module, which is taught by colleagues in psychology, and we also offer grammar for TESOL and also corpus linguistics with our collaborations with the education faculty. This slide here represents the actual structure of the programme. So if you were intending to be a full-time student, in the autumn you would take the two core modules, linguistic structures and linguistic contexts, and then you would choose an option. I'll come on to those shortly. In the spring you would take two options and a research training module, and in the summer semester you do the dissertation. If you were a part-time student, you would simply just do the 2 core modules in the autumn, 2 options in the spring, an option in the research methods in the second year, the autumn, and then in the spring and summer you would do the dissertation. So this actually gives you a little bit more detail about what those actual modules are. In semester 1, linguistic structures and linguistic contexts, and then you would choose an option from historical linguistics and the history of English, grammar for TESOL, or bilingualism. In semester 2, the spring semester, you would take the research training module. I'll talk about that briefly shortly, and then 2 options either from sociolinguistics and varieties of English, which I teach, language and cognition, which Andrew teaches, evolutionary linguistics, which Andrew teaches, corpus linguistics, which is taught by our colleagues in TESOL, and Old and Middle English. So you would choose 2 options from those. A little bit more detail about the core modules that we teach and which all students take. So linguistic structures is focused mainly on the structures of language across fundamental dimensions of phonetics, phonology, morphology, and syntax. And then linguistic context is focused on how meaning is constructed and interpreted. So it involves an engagement with semantics and pragmatics, and also the different social and historical contexts in which language is used. The research methods training module, which I mentioned earlier, is one that all students do across the master's programme in our faculty, and it is the aim of it is to encourage master's degree students to develop their research skills in preparation either for a research-based career or advanced research at PhD level. It is split up into 4 skills domains. So we have the generic research skills, employability skills, breadth of knowledge, and subject-specific skills. And crucially, the onus is on you to select your own relevant activities, which may involve things like attending a conference, writing a dissertation proposal, writing a book review. Sometimes students use their initiative to even do an online course. We had a student a few years ago doing a course in forensic linguistics online. And we also hold a regular reading group at which we discuss interesting recent and not so recent papers in English language and linguistics. And we encourage the students to take it in terms of to select and actually present a paper of their choosing. And then this is often written up as one of the reflective pieces for the research methods training. It's also a nice way of feeling part, I think, of the community of the masters, because most of the students attend it. Some of our PhD students attend it, and staff attend it as well. The dissertation is, in a sense, the kind of crowning achievement of the masters. It's an independent research project based on a particular area of linguistics and a particular approach, and it is an original piece of work which you get to choose yourself, and you get to sort of work up as a research project. You'll have a lot of support from us in choosing, identifying a specialist topic and becoming an expert in that field. And you will have sustained support throughout that period because you'll be assigned a supervisor who you'll meet on a regular basis over the summer, and to whom you'll submit draft chapters for consideration. Just to give you a little flavour of some of the projects that people have done over the years, we've had somebody looking at like as a marker of low epistemic modality in modern British English, prosody in music and the development of proto-language, how Arabic L2 learners acquire English negation, the language of memes. This is actually a student that's now gone on to do a PhD with us, continuing his focus on memes, the language and semiotics of milk advertising, a history of relic and loanwords in the Scots language, linguistic behaviour and language choice in the Ordos Mongolian language community. So you can see there's a very broad range of topics representing a range of different areas of linguistics, and also different, perhaps international interests as well that students bring to their research. Teaching itself takes the form of regular lectures and small group tutorials, and quite often the format for sessions is to have a few sort of lecture slides, a kind of informative section, and then more sort of group work and discussion. Assessment on the modules is via coursework, and this comprises a range of different kinds of assessments. We have the sort of traditional essay, but we also have independent projects. We have technical language exercises, critical reviews, reflective journal entries, and of course the dissertation. The most significant piece of work, and certainly the longest piece of work, is the triple-weighted 15,000 word dissertation. And as mentioned earlier, this is written during the summer semester and under our supervision. The programme regularly attracts a diverse range of international students. So we've had students from China, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Malaysia, Mongolia, Germany, France, Spain, USA, Nigeria, Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, and Poland. And the origin of our students increases every year. We seem to have attract a very wide mix of nationalities. There are usually roughly an equal number of international students and home EU students, although I think it's possibly more international students this year, isn't it? Yeah. The programme modules often address cross-linguistic and cross-cultural comparisons, and case studies considered in class reflect a range of national contexts and languages. So in that sense, our curriculum is very sort of attuned to sort of international interests in its orientations. In terms of the student experience, we do have relatively small numbers on the programme, at least people who are just doing the master's programme itself, although some of our options attract larger numbers of students because they're drawn from other programmes as well. But the relatively small numbers on the programme itself creates, I think, a very tight-knit and supportive learning community for international students, some of whom perhaps might otherwise struggle to integrate with home students on a programme. International students for whom English is not a first language also receive a high degree of support, partly through the dissertation supervision, but also from student learning services. And also we have Royal Literary Fund Fellows who are dedicated to sort of one-on-one sessions, helping people to improve their writing skills and essay construction skills. The kind of attributes which we think are attached to this programme, the successful completion of this programme, are critical thinking, intellectual honesty and rigour, research skills that demonstrate independent research potential, leadership, responsibility and teamwork, the ability to reflect explicitly on tasks, learning and activities, presentation skills, both formal and informal, self-motivation and initiative, and time management and working to deadlines. So obviously at a master's level, students are expected to work quite independently. They're expected to do quite a bit of reading and research on a weekly basis around the topics. And deadlines are obviously very crucial for assignment completion. And all these things, of course, are very important kind of attributes that you would use in the workplace as well. There are a number of career paths that could possibly arise from taking this master's. So previous graduates of the programme have gone into teaching, including second language teaching. Speech therapy, we've had at least 2 students who've gone on to do more specialist masters in speech therapy following this more foundation programme. Arts administration, we've had students going on to do PhDs, so it's doctoral work, and some actually going into academia, marketing and advertising, and translation services. In terms of student support, there is up to 20 hours per week of contact time, including so all the different modules, but also including sort of office hours and the opportunities to speak to your tutor about the module. You'll have a personal tutor who has a more pastoral role in your time here. So if you do have any sort of particular issues that you want to discuss with them that perhaps aren't specifically academic in nature, you can speak to a personal tutor. We have a system of representation, student representation. So we have class representatives who can take any concerns to a consultative committee, and so you know, issues can be raised, suggestions for improvements. These can all be raised through the staff consultative committee, and there is extensive support through university services, pastoral and financial support, English language support, IT support, careers support, and the RLF fellows. We have here a testimonial from a relatively recent graduate, Courtney Weissel. She went on to work for a local language solutions company based in Stirling as an account manager. And she talks here in this testimonial about how the masters actually helped her, honed her skills in order to address some of the challenges in this particular role. So she says, I draw upon my knowledge from the sociolinguistics module frequently to discuss cultural linguistic practices. This is most commonly exercised when I work on projects that require language localization or transcription. Additionally, when clients require voiceover work, I discuss any dialectic preferences by applying my knowledge from the linguistic structures and concepts introductory modules. She goes on to say that it has equipped her with the foundations to engage in these types of conversations with her clients and ensure that they're matched with a linguist or interpreter who meets their language solution needs. So just to summarise some of the reasons why you might want to choose this particular programme, it's designed to be suitable both for beginners and advanced students of linguistics. The breadth of linguistics provision means that the choice and range offered to students for option modules is an attractive range, and the programme coverage is quite comprehensive. The fact that we have 3 members of staff who specialise in quite different areas of linguistics means that we can cover quite a range of topics. And the size and scale of the programme allows a valuable personal touch, we think, and the development of an ideal student and academic community. So students benefit from small group teaching, and I think value the time and attention that's given by staff and the enhanced supervision of dissertations. Okay, so that's the end of the formal presentation, and so I'll move on now to any questions that you might have, either for me or for Kirsten as the student representative. These come as written. Okay, so just checking again, if there are any questions, you can either present these verbally or you can write them, you can type them, and we can oh, sorry, it's just typing. Apologies. So if you're interested in asking any questions, if you just type them and we can I can either respond to these verbally or we can, yes. Okay. Hi, Khadija. I've just seen your written message. So I'm understanding that this is perhaps a different motivation for looking at the presentation. So perhaps we might catch up about this separately. Perhaps do feel free to email me. So my email is b.m.benwell@stir.ac.uk. Okay, sorry, I'll put it here. I'm actually the head of division as well, so I may well be seeing you in a different kind of context. So I've just typed my email address there. Okay. Does anybody else have any further questions? So we'll just be here for another couple of minutes if you do have any further questions you want to ask. Okay. Thanks very much. Yes, I may catch you between meetings tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, so just to remind anybody that's still listening that we're still here for a few minutes, and we also do have one of the students from the current cohort master students, Kirsten, who's very happy to answer any questions from the student perspective. Alternatively, if you do have any further questions, I've typed my email address up there further up this exchange, and do feel free to contact me via my email to follow up on any further questions you might have about the programme. Hi, Bethan. Nice to speak to another Bethan. Thanks for your question. Yes, this is a master's course. So as I mentioned during the presentation, you don't actually have to, it's not obligatory that you've done linguistics as an undergraduate program beforehand. So we have students actually from a range of backgrounds. Some of our students have done linguistics as an undergraduate degree. Some students have done an element of language or linguistics as part of a bigger, broader, perhaps English or humanities degree. So what was your previous experience, Kirsten?
Environmental studies.
Sorry, I'm just going to pass you over to Kirsten.
Hi there. Yeah, my previous experience was in environmental studies, so I didn't even have a related undergraduate degree to linguistics. And still, it's been very, very informative and really good overview generally of linguistics and then also more specific linguistics topics. So I really don't think you need any specific background in linguistics, as I did not, and I've been able to manage just fine.
Okay, thanks, Kirsten. And hopefully that's answered the question, Bethan. So I don't know what your situation is. Have you actually got an undergraduate degree at the moment, or are you sort of planning on taking an undergraduate degree? Oh, okay. That's great, Bethan. So you're going to be here anyway, starting presumably, hopefully in September. Yes. So hopefully we'll look forward to meeting you then. And there are lots of linguistics modules that you can do within the English studies program, and there are actually some sort of introductory linguistic modules that you can take in addition to your English program when you arrive as a first year. So yes, so we'll hopefully meet and talk about this further when you actually come to do your undergraduate program here. Okay, so we're probably going to wrap up now. If anybody has any further questions, do type them in. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully I will be in touch with both of you at some point in different ways over the coming days or possibly months or years. So yeah, and you do have my email address, so if there are any questions occur to you later, do feel free to contact me separately. Okay, thank you for listening.